Hi, g'day, how are you? It's been a while, approximately this long. Now believe it or not, I do remember that I have a YouTube channel and I do need to upload to it every now and then, but let's just say life has been busy. But, however, that being said, I've decided to take time out of my busy schedule of working 6 days a week and watching entirely too much hentai for one person. Problem. To once again get mad at DIY channels that teach you how to build something, but not how to use the basic tools you need to do it. And this video I think I'm going to title, Getting Hammered, an alcoholic's guide to hitting shit. Actually, speaking of, gotta enjoy a beer. Bam! Camera angle change. Now, when people think about hammering on things, they just generally assume you pick a hammer up and you hit the thing with it. And while yes, that does work and it will get you by in most scenarios, they do not realize that there are specific tools for specific jobs. Now, I've noticed when some people ask me if they could borrow a hammer and I look at them and say, well, what do you want? A ball peen, cross peen, claw, mallet, or sledge? They look at me like I'm a crazy person. The fact that I'm not wearing pants when they're asking me, well, that may have something to do with it, but they also don't realize that they are different types of hammers. And a big part of teaching you how to hammer shit good is teaching you what hammers do what jobs. For this bit, let's start with common steel hammers. Now, if you're a woodworker, this is the most common steel hammer you'll see. It is a claw hammer. You use it for smacking nails in and pulling nails out. Now, the reason this is mostly associated with woodworking and anything else is this bit at the back here. You can drive a nail in with almost any hammer, but only this one will help you pull it out when you inevitably fuck it up. The back of the hammer has this distinctive V shape in it, which you use to slide against the nail, trapping it between the V and underneath the head, which you can then use to pull it out. And the curve on the back here helps you get leverage and pull. When using a claw hammer to get a nail out, slide the V around the nail and then lever backwards. Very simple. Another common hammer you'll see in pretty much everyone's toolbox is a ball peen hammer, mainly because this is when people think hammer, they think of this. Like any other hammer, it has a flat face on it that's used for hitting shit, as you would expect. But the main distinctive characteristic on this is the hemispherical backside. Now, what I've used this for in the past is peening over rivets. You put your solid rivet through the piece of metal and then you smack it with this bit to round over the edge and mushroom it out to keep everything solid and in place. You can get other types of peening hammers. I don't have them because I don't need them, but they do come in the range of cross peen, diagonal peen, point peen, and chisel peen. I think that's all of them. But basically, the point at the back here changes shape. That's all a peening hammer is. Next up, we have mallets. Now, mallets come in a ton of different shapes and sizes. You can get rubber mallets, wooden mallets, rawhide mallets, stunned mallets, hairy mallets. But let's be honest, the main ones that we're going to come across are wooden mallets and rubber mallets. Now, what do you use a mallet for? Mallets are generally made from a softer material than other hammers. So, you know, not fucking steel. And they're generally used for any task where you don't want to mar or disfigure the material you're working with. Carpenter's mallets, for instance, are used for driving together wooden pieces, say mortise and tenon joints, or driving dowel into wood. This is because they don't mark the surface of whatever you're hitting. To highlight the difference between using a carpenter's mallet and a wooden hammer when driving a small piece of dowel, put the dowel in the wood, no damage to the surface. Drill a second hole. Now watch the surface of the wood when I hit it with a metal hammer. It drives the dowel into the wood, but it also messes up the surface. Now, rubber mallets can be used for the same purpose as carpenter's mallets. I personally wouldn't, because I find that the rubber leaves nasty marks on the wood. The other use for a mallet is working with chisels. Using a softer mallet with a chisel increases the amount of control you have over the cut by delivering a less severe blow, as well as protects the striking end of the tool by not deforming it as a steel hammer would. Now, you can use a steel hammer with a chisel and it will perform, but if you use a mallet, either rubber or wood, you will get a better result. Now, while we're here talking about mallets, we should probably talk about a dead blow. And no, that's not a good time down at your local cemetery. Dead blow is a type of mallet. This, I did not know the use for until a couple years ago, but somehow every garage I've ever been in has one of these. A dead blow hammer is a mallet just like every other, except inside is hollow and filled with sand or steel shot or lead shot or some other type of loose, heavy material. Now what that loose material does is help evenly distribute the pressure of the strike and prevent marring or damaging whatever material you're working on. It also helps prevent bounce back. So whenever you strike a blow to a material with this hammer, it tends to stop dead. Dead blow. Again, not a gobby from a cadaver, you sick fucks. Apparently, this is used for precision work on machines and hydraulic cylinders. Yet somehow, people I know that wouldn't even know what the word hydraulic means owns one of these. This thing is a mystery to me. But there you go, knowledge. And finally on the list of hammers that people want to know about, we have sledgehammers. Sorry, this is a club hammer. This is a baby sledgehammer. Sledgehammers. Now, these sort of hammers you don't use in woodworking, ever. If you're using this in woodworking, you're taking some stress out on the job, and you probably shouldn't. You're going to ruin whatever you're working on, and it's not going to be a good time after the fact. What they are primarily used for in a creative capacity is metalworking, namely forging. In forging, a hammer this big would probably use to hit something like a striker, whereas something smaller yet still as heavy as this would be just a hand hammer for flattening out material.
Whoop-de-doo! What does it all mean, Basil?
Oh. So, it is all well and good to teach you what hammers do what, but how do you use them? That is the question. Now, using a hammer correctly is a matter of physics. Now, if you remember back to your grade 7 science class, you'll know that the further away from a pivot point you are, the more force and the more speed you generate. The way that translates to a hammer is, if you hold the hammer from the bottom, the head moves faster. If you hold the hammer closer to the head moves slower, and the handle moves faster. If I explained that poorly, it's because it's 42 degrees in this garage and I've had 5 beers. Something I've seen most beginner woodworkers do is get scared of the hammer and try to drive a nail like this. And then wonder why it doesn't actually go into the wood. Basically, what's happening is you're choking the hammer and you can't actually use the weight of the head effectively, which means no force actually goes into the tip of the nail. What you should be doing is holding the hammer further down the handle and taking a longer swing. The longer the swing, the more speed and force is generated in the hammerhead, the harder you can drive into your nail. Now, to begin with, when you're driving a nail, you don't want to put too much force into it because you might miss and cross your fingers. My rule of thumb, halfway down the hammer, nail in the piece of wood, drive it in a little bit. Put your hand at the bottom of the hammer, miss. Hand to the bottom of the hammer, line it up, 3 taps and you're done. So I thought I filmed an outro with the rest of that hot garbage, but I forgot, apparently. I thought I did it and then didn't do it. Well, as much of a dumpster fire as I think that video is going to be after editing it together, I'm still going to post it because someone might get something useful out of it. If you have any suggestions on what you want me to do a tutorial on in the future, let me know. Could be using chisels, could be using power tools, could be making dildos, you know, all my areas of expertise. But all that to the side, if you found this video useful, please hit the like button. If you found me entertaining, please hit the subscribe button. And if you found me completely insufferable, please fuck off. Love you all, see you in the next video. Catch you then.